If you work as a manufacturing facilities engineer, installing a new piece of equipment can be as complex as the machinery itself. From prep work to alignment and testing, it's your team's job to put it all together. That's why it's good to have Grainger on your side. With industrial-grade products and next-day delivery, Grainger helps ensure you have everything you need close at hand through every step of the installation. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is your before and after story. Instead of imagining a rewarding career in medical imaging, Southeastern College can actually take you there. Prepare for a career in ultrasound, radiology, and X-ray technology. With hands-on specialized training, simulations, and real-life experience with the latest imaging technology, you'll be ready to play a vital role on any healthcare team. Transform your life by helping others. Southeastern College. Your future is bright. Visit scc.edu to get started.
Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're about to dive deep, into some pretty amazing celestial events that are happening in December 2024. Just imagine a sky illuminated by like a brilliant full moon. It's the longest night of the year. And to top it off, there's a meteor shower streaking across the backdrop. Pretty cool, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely sounds exciting.
To guide us through all of this, we're using information from sources like the Almanac, the New York Post, the Sun, and Spiritual File.
Looking forward to it.
Great. Well, let's start with the star of the show this month, the cold moon. Even the name itself, gives you that feeling of winter's chill.
Yeah, it does. And the name actually has roots in both Native American and European traditions.
Yeah.
And it really reflects that time of year.
Yeah.
When winter really, starts to
take hold. And it's not just about the cold, though, right? It's also known as the long night moon because it happens so close to the winter solstice, the longest night of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of kind of like dwelling on the darkness, many cultures actually see this as like a time of hope and renewal.
Right. It's almost like a cosmic reminder that, even in like the darkest times, light will always return. It's kind of cool. Yeah. Are there any like cultural practices or historical events that really stand out to you tied to the cold moon?
Yeah, actually, there are a few things that Spiritual File highlights. It seems that a lot of cultures celebrate the cold moon with festivals and rituals that focus on like introspection and letting go of the old to make way for the new. It's really interesting, that blend of astronomy and cultural significance.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And it makes you think about, our ancestors gazing up at that same moon.
Yeah.
And finding solace and inspiration in it.
It really gives you that sense of connection, doesn't it? So this year's cold moon peaks on Sunday, December 15th, 2024, at 4:02 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, but it'll appear full for a few nights around then, too, and it's going to be brighter and it'll hang around longer than usual.
Oh, that's right. December's full moon, it climbs higher.
Yeah.
And it stays visible longer because of its position in the sky. So it creates like a more dramatic spectacle.
It's like we're getting a supersized moon experience. So I'm wondering, does this have any implications from an astrological perspective? Because, this cold moon falls under the sign of Gemini.
Yeah, it does. And that adds another layer of intrigue, doesn't it? Because Gemini's, it's all about communication, intellect, and adaptability. So we might feel, more drawn to introspection and knowledge-seeking and connecting with others.
These things could get interesting with all that Gemini energy. But I've heard that Mercury is in retrograde during this time, which is supposed to like disrupt communication and maybe even cause a little bit of chaos. What do you think about that?
Well, I wouldn't advocate making any major life decisions solely based on, Mercury retrograde. But the New York Post does suggest exercising caution during this period because astrologically it is seen as a time when communication can be a little bit muddled and plans, might go awry.
So maybe it's wise to like approach things with a bit more thoughtfulness and avoid any impulsive actions.
Yeah, exactly. It's a good time to just kind of pause and reflect.
Yeah.
And maybe even revisit old ideas or projects before launching anything new.
That's sound advice. But the cold moon isn't the only celestial event worth watching in December. The sun mentioned something about Jupiter being in opposition. Can you explain what that means?
Yeah, Jupiter is going to reach opposition on December 7th. And that means it'll be directly opposite the sun from our viewpoint here on Earth. And this alignment, it makes Jupiter appear exceptionally bright and visible throughout the night.
So it's not just that Jupiter is closer to Earth then. It's the way the sunlight reflects off of it during opposition that makes it appear brighter.
That's a great observation. The way the sunlight hits Jupiter during opposition really enhances its visibility, making it a prime target for sky watchers.
That makes sense. So we've got the cold moon, potentially amped up by its position in the sky, and Jupiter putting on a brilliant display. So that's two major sky watching events right there. What about the Geminids meteor shower? The almanac mentioned it peaks around December 13th and 14th.
Yeah, the Geminids meteor shower is known for its vibrant, bright meteors. It's really beautiful to see, but unfortunately, the full moon's brightness might wash out some of the fainter meteors this year.
Oh, that's a bummer. I was hoping for a dazzling meteor shower display.
I know it's a bit of a cosmic trade-off, but hey, you never know. We might still catch a few bright streaks against that moonlit sky.
Fingers crossed. So we've got the cold moon. We've got Jupiter in opposition. Are there any other celestial run-ins we should mark on our calendars for December?
Those are actually the main highlights for December. It's going to be a fantastic month for sky watching, though, even with, the full moon's potential interference.
Yeah.
With the meteor shower.
Okay, so two main events to focus on. Now, for those of us who might not be expert astronomers, do you have any tips for making the most of these December sky watching opportunities?
Yeah, of course. First, you want to consider your location. The less light pollution you have, the better.
Yeah.
If you can head out of the city to a spot with a wide open view of the sky, it makes a big difference.
That makes sense. Anywhere in particular we should be looking?
Well, for the cold moon, focus on the eastern horizon, shortly after sunset. That's where it'll begin its ascent into the night sky. And as for Jupiter, it'll be visible throughout the night, so you'll have ample opportunity to spot it shining brightly.
Perfect. Now, what about tools? Do we need, fancy telescopes to appreciate these events, or will our naked eyes suffice?
Both the cold moon and Jupiter will be visible to the naked eye. But if you want to get a closer look at the moon's craters, or Jupiter's moons, binoculars or a telescope would definitely enhance the experience.
Good to know. So we've got our location, we've got our viewing times, and some optional tools for a closer look. Anything else we should keep in mind?
Yeah. December nights can get pretty chilly, so make sure you dress warmly, layers, hats, gloves, warm socks, the whole works.
Good point. No one wants to cut their stargazing adventure short because they're freezing.
Exactly. And always check the local weather forecast before you head out. Clear skies are essential for optimal viewing.
Safety first, stargazing second. I think we've covered all the essential practical tips for observing these celestial events. But now I'm kind of intrigued by something you mentioned earlier, the cultural and spiritual significance associated with this time of year, especially with the cold moon coinciding with the winter solstice.
Yeah.
Are you ready to dive a bit deeper into that?
Absolutely. Ready when you are.
All right, let's shift our focus from the practical to the symbolic and learn a bit more about how different cultures viewed and celebrated this special time of year. It's amazing to think that for centuries, people have been looking up at the same cold moon.
Yeah.
And imbuing it with, their own interpretations and traditions. It makes you wonder how these celestial events shaped their understanding of the world.
Yeah. It's a captivating thought. Imagine a time before, electric lights, when the night sky was a dominant presence. The cycles of the moon and stars would held, immense significance for them, shaping their daily lives and their cultural practices.
I can only imagine. What specific examples come to mind when you think about how the cold moon and the winter solstice were viewed by different cultures?
Well, Spiritual File mentions that. For many indigenous cultures in the Northern Hemisphere, the winter solstice marked a turning point, a time of rebirth and renewal. And the cold moon occurring near this pivotal point often symbolized hope amidst the darkness.
Oh, that's really interesting. It resonates with the idea we discussed earlier, that light always returns, even after the longest night.
Exactly. It's a powerful metaphor found in many cultures. For example, some ancient European traditions celebrated the solstice with Yule festivals, symbolizing the return of the sun and the promise of spring.
Oh, wow.
They would light bonfires, feast, and engage in rituals to ward off evil spirits and ensure a bountiful harvest in the coming year.
That's fascinating. I never knew the Yule log tradition had such deep roots. In celebrating the return of light?
It's incredible how these traditions connect us to the past, isn't it? Even today, many people celebrate the solstice and the cold moon with their own rituals, seeking introspection and setting intentions for the new year.
It's like a reminder that despite all of our, technological advancements, we're still part of these ancient cycles, connected to the rhythms of nature.
Absolutely. And that connection extends beyond just human experience.
Yeah.
The winter solstice marks a specific point in Earth's journey around the sun, a celestial dance that has been happening for billions of years.
It really puts things into perspective, doesn't it? Our everyday worries seem so small when you consider the vastness of the cosmos and the intricate dance of celestial objects.
It does, looking up at the cold moon, knowing that countless generations before us have witnessed that same spectacle, it evokes a sense of wonder and connection to something much larger than ourselves.
Speaking of feeling small, I've always been curious about those moon illusions. We sometimes experience, how the moon appears enormous when it's near the horizon, but then it seems to shrink as it climbs higher in the sky.
Ah, the famous moon illusion. It's a classic example of how our perception can be tricked. Even though the moon's size doesn't actually change, our brains interpret it differently, depending on its position in the sky.
So why does it look so much larger when it's near the horizon?
Well, there's no, definitive answer, but one theory suggests that our brains compare the moon to familiar objects on the horizon, like trees or buildings, making it seem larger in relation to those objects. But when it's high in the sky, with no reference points, it appears smaller.
Wow, that's fascinating. Our brains are playing tricks on us, making the moon appear to grow and shrink.
Exactly. It's a reminder that our perception of reality isn't always accurate, especially when it comes to, celestial objects.
Yeah, that's a great point. Makes you wonder what other cosmic illusions we might be experiencing without even realizing it. But back to December's cold moon. It sounds like we might get like a double dose of that illusion, considering it'll be brighter and linger in the sky longer than usual.
You're right. That combination could create a truly impressive visual effect. Definitely something to look forward to.
And let's not forget Jupiter in opposition, shining like a beacon throughout the month.
Yeah, it's almost as if the universe is putting on a grand celestial show for us as we approach the end of the year.
It's a reminder to step outside, look up and connect with the wonders of the cosmos. But before we get lost in the starry night, maybe we should recap what we've learned about this December's celestial highlights. Okay, so let's recap everything we've learned about these celestial highlights for December 2024. It's going to be a busy month.
It is going to be a busy month. We've got two main events to look out for. First, the cold moon reaches peak fullness on Sunday, December 15th at 4:802 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And remember, it's going to be brighter and visible for longer this month because of its unique position in the sky.
Right, it's like a bonus round of moon gazing. And then we also can't forget the astrological side of things. This cold moon falls under the sign of Gemini, which is all about, communication, intellect, and adaptability.
Exactly. So we might be feeling, drawn towards introspection and maybe a thirst for knowledge. But as we discussed earlier, Mercury is in retrograde during this period, so best to proceed with some caution, especially when it comes to communication and, make any big decisions.
So think before you speak and maybe hold off on those impulsive online shopping sprees.
Exactly. Now, the second big event is Jupiter reaching opposition on December 7th. This is when Jupiter will be directly opposite the sun from our perspective here on Earth, and it's going to make it exceptionally bright and visible throughout the night.
So Jupiter is stepping into the spotlight, ready for its close-up. And if you want to fully immerse yourself in this experience, it sounds like getting out of the city, to minimize light pollution is key.
Absolutely. The darker the sky, the more brilliant these objects will appear. And for those who want to take an even closer look, binoculars or a telescope can reveal some amazing details, like the moon's craters and Jupiter's moons.
It's always good to have options. But before we all rush out for a night of stargazing, let's not forget the practical things. December nights can be pretty cold.
They can. Layering up is essential. Don't forget the hats and gloves and warm socks.
Right, safety and comfort first. Stargazing second. I think we've covered it all. The when, the where, and the how of observing these December celestial events. But I keep thinking back to what we talked about before, about the cultural and spiritual significance tied to the cold moon and the winter solstice.
Right, and it really adds another dimension to our understanding of these events because for many cultures, the winter solstice and the cold moon weren't just astronomical occurrences. They were times for reflection and celebration and renewal. They often symbolized the triumph of light over darkness and the promise of new beginnings.
It's a nice thought that even in the darkest times, there's always hope on the horizon.
It is. And I think that's a powerful message for us all, especially as we head into a new year. These celestial events offer us a chance to connect with something bigger than ourselves, to think about our place in this vast universe, and to find inspiration in the cycles of nature that have been going on for millennia.
It's a beautiful thought. So as you gaze up at the cold moon this December, let it spark your curiosity. Explore the myths and traditions associated with it. Think about how it's influenced cultures throughout history. and let it inspire your own personal reflections as we enter a new year.
Keep looking up, keep exploring, and keep asking questions. Who knows what other celestial wonders await our discovery?
Well, until next time, happy stargazing, everyone.
Today is your lucky day. Today is the day that our $3 website works for you, paying you directly to your PayPal daily. Imagine $3 ongoing continuous payments to your PayPal account. Imagine falling asleep and waking up to $300 in your PayPal account. How would this make you feel? How could this help you? What bills could you pay? What kind of fun could you have? What does that retirement look like now? All for a one-time payment of $3. This website is DFY done for you, fully built and completely hosted, and never stops collecting payments for you. You have spent $3 on coffee on a regular, but that coffee won't help you create multiple streams of income. Click the link below.